Hello guys, my name is Kirtan and welcome to my channel Physiology at Once. Today I will be talking about the topic action potential and the propagation of the impulse. In this video I will be covering the topics the action potential, its phases, the propagation of the action potential and the strength duration relationship. So let's start. So what is an action potential? It is a transient change in the membrane potential of about 100 millivolt which is conducted along the axon in an all or none fashion. So all or none fashion means it occurs or it not occurs. If it occurs in the maximal form. So it's like a do or die situation. So it is a transient change in the membrane potential. So membrane potential is changed for about 100 millivolt and it is conducted along the axon. It is also called as a spike potential or an impulse. The single nerve action potential is about 1 milliseconds. It is the duration of an action potential, in which the membrane potential sharply rises from minus 70 millivolts to plus 35 millivolts and then returns to the resting state. So let's talk about the phases of an action potential. There are mainly two phases of the action potential: the phase of depolarization and the phase of repolarization. In the phase of depolarization, it contains slow depolarization, rapid rising phase, overshoot and peak. In the phase of repolarization, it contains rapid falling phase and slow after depolarization. This phase of repolarization is followed by after hyperpolarization stage. You should mainly remember the depolarization occurs due to the influx of sodium and repolarization occurs due to the efflux of potassium. So these two ions are mainly required in the action potential process. So this line is very important. Depolarization involves influx of sodium and repolarization involves efflux of potassium. So as it involves two ions, there must be two channels for these two ions. So let's talk about this voltage gated Na plus and K plus channels. The Na plus channels contains two gates, the inactivation gate and the activation gate. This Na plus channel opens and closes faster than the K plus channel. The K plus channel only has one gate and opens a little later. You can remember this by Na means it has two alphabets, so it has two gates. So let's start the ionic basis of the phases of the action potential. Firstly, in the depolarization process, first there will be latent period. The latent period is a duration between the stimulus and the onset of the action potential. So there will be a little latent period. Then the membrane potential will rise to minus 55 millivolt through the opening of the inactivation gate of the Na plus channel. So when the inactivation gate of the Na plus channel is opened, there will be shift of membrane potential from minus 70 millivolt to minus 55 millivolt. And this minus 55 millivolt is the threshold level. In this stage, there will be opening of the activation gate of the sodium channel. Then due to the activation of the opening gate of the sodium channel, there will be a rapid rising phase. And this is the depolarization process. And it will overshoot to plus 35 millivolts and reach a peak. So what all happens? There will be a latent period. Then there will be a opening of inactivation gate of Na plus channel. Then opening of activation gate of Na plus channel. So this is like a positive feedback mechanism. This opening of inactivation gate of Na plus channel will promote the opening of many more Na plus channel. So this is also called as Hodgkin process. The Hodgkin process is nothing but the activation of other Na plus channel due to the previously activated Na plus channel. So it is an example of a positive feedback mechanism. So you may wonder, when it reaches the peak or plus 35 millivolt, it can also rise above to the plus 60 millivolt, which is the equilibrium potential of the sodium. So why does it not go to the equilibrium potential of the sodium? It does not go to the equilibrium potential because when it reaches the peak, there will be closing of the inactivation gate. There will be closing of the inactivation gate of the sodium channel. And simultaneously, there will also be the slow opening of the K plus gate. Slow opening of the K plus gate. Even the activation gate of the Na plus channel slowly comes to close. So after the peak, there will be a rapid falling phase, which is nothing but the repolarization phase. So in this repolarization phase, the repolarization phase is mainly due to the opening of the K plus gate. So when the K plus gate opens, there will be rapid efflux of the K plus ions. Rapid efflux of K plus ions due to opening of the K plus channel. So it rapidly falls because there will be closing of the Na plus gate and there will be rapid opening of the K plus gate. So this both will happen and therefore there is rapid fall. There is also closing of the Na plus gates. So this is the closed stage of the Na plus channel. So there no gates will be open in this phase. So after the rapid falling phase of the repolarization step, there will be an after depolarization phase, which is nothing, which happens due to the slow closure of the K plus channel. So in this phase, there will be slow closure of the K plus channel. Due to this slow closure of the K plus channel, there will be decreased K plus ion transport from the membrane to the outer side. So there will be a steep phase in the graph, which is the after depolarization phase. So after depolarization, the membrane potential will reach to the resting membrane potential, which is nothing but the minus 70 millivolts. But then there will be again after hyperpolarization phase. So why does this occurs? This occurs due to there will be some opening of K plus channel. So due to the opening of some K plus channels, there will be again efflux of K plus. So therefore decreasing the membrane potential and makes it negative. So there will be an undershoot. So this explains the after hyperpolarization phase. So this is the whole process of the action potential phase. So now let's talk about the propagation of the action potential. The action potential is actually initiated in the trigger zone area. It is called as trigger zone area because it contains high concentration of voltage gated Na plus and K plus channels, which are the mainly required in the action potential process. This found action potential is regenerated at regular intervals along the axon till it reaches the axon terminal. So its main goal is to reach the axon terminal. It can either propagate in the unmyelinated axon or the myelinated axon. We will be talking now about the myelinated axon because it is the most common one. The speed of conduction depends on the myelination and the diameter of the axon. If the myelination is more, the speed of the conduction will be more due to the saltatory conduction, which I will be talking now. And if the diameter of the axon will be more, there will be more speed of conduction. So now let's talk about the saltatory conduction, which is seen in the myelinated axon. It is called as myelinated axon because the axon will be covered by the myelin sheaths at regular intervals. So when the action potential is generated at the trigger zone or the initial stage, there will be transfer of the action potential from one node to the other node. So because there will be myelin sheath, there will be presence of a node of Ranvier, which contains more number of Na plus and K plus channels. This node of Ranvier contains more number of Na plus and K plus channels, due to which the action potentials are regenerated regenerated in these nodes. So after the initial stage, this action potential will jump to the node of Ranvier from one node of Ranvier to another node of Ranvier. So there will be a jumping conduction. So therefore it is called as saltatory conduction. Saltatory conduction means the fast or jump conduction. So there will be less leakage of the ions in this step because due to the myelin sheath there will be no leakage of ions. What are the factors facilitating the saltatory conduction? It is the less leakage, which I told now, and it is the presence of large number of voltage gated Na+ channels in the node of Ranvier. So this myelinated axon is mainly important and useful because it consumes less ATP. The ATP is required actually to recover the ion potential after the action potential. So the ATP is consumed less because there are less conductions of the action potential, and it also there is less leakage of ions, which makes the conduction faster. So now let's talk about a small topic which can come as a short note or 3 marks question in the board examination, and this topic is the strength duration relationship of an impulse. So there are two important aspects of a stimulus and they both have equal role in determining the excitability of the tissue. Those are strength and duration. So the relation between the strength and duration of stimuli depicted in graph is known as strength duration curve. This is an important question. So this strength duration curve contains three main important terms. The first one is Rio base. It is nothing but the lowest strength of current required to excite a tissue. So this is required to excite a tissue. So this is the Rio base. It is the strength parameter. The next important term is the utilization time. This is the minimum time for which the Rio base must be applied to elicit an action potential. So at least there should be application of Rio base for this time, and this is called the utilization time. The next important term is chronaxy. This is the time required for a stimulus of double the Rio base strength to produce an action potential. So this is also an duration or time parameter. So when the chronaxy is less, there will be more conduction because the time required will be less for the conduction. So the nerve tissue has less chronaxy compared to the muscle tissue. So therefore the conduction will be higher in this stage. So that's it for today, guys. If you found this video helpful, please like, share and comment, and also don't forget to subscribe to support my mission of making physiology easy, simple and understandable. Thank you.